When it comes to strong characters in the Naruto universe, you have a myriad to choose from. All the way from lowly Genin, who had giant-tailed beasts implanted in them, to literal space gods who descended to Earth to colonize it and turn it into an apple that gave them more power. I swear this comic series is wild. But above everything else, especially in early Naruto, there were only a select few ninja who actually qualified as earth-shakingly powerful. And among them, one of the most preeminent was Itachi. I mean, he was the benchmark in many ways that Kakashi was in terms of how powerful a Jonin level ninja could be. I mean, really, you actually started with him to transcend the idea of you had Jonin and Kage, and the idea that, much like the legendary Sannin, there were other people who might qualify as a Kage level defense for a village, or offense. But what made him so strong is, in my opinion, not necessarily his offensive power, though he certainly had quite a lot of those, but rather instead a unique defensive power that he had. And this defensive power might very well be one of the strongest in all of Naruto. But let's go ahead and talk about why he might have been the most powerful ninja in the Hidden Leaf, and one of the most powerful in the world. So, when you look at Itachi, what's the first thing you think of? He is the guy who wiped out the Uchiha. I mean, he is the reason that Sasuke is the way he is. He is the hidden person within the Akatsuki for the Hidden Leaf, as we'd later find out. He's one of the best agents. He's one of the greatest ninja. He was one of the youngest Anbu members ever. Just his myriad of recorded feats goes far beyond that of most characters in the series. And a lot of that is due to his Sharingan. Now, when I tell you that he's one of the most powerful characters and what his most powerful ability might be, I'm sure a lot of you originally thought it would be one of his two Sharingan-related abilities. Either Amaterasu, the ability to launch out a giant black fireball that incinerates anything it touches, or Tsukuyomi. But while I think both of those are insanely powerful, they're not really what allowed him to transcend to such a high-level ninja. While definitely the ability to cause 72 hours worth of damage to a person in 3 seconds is a fantastic feat, Genjutsu is highly underutilized in Naruto, despite how much it's talked about in its early years. And unfortunately, we don't get to see enough of him using this for me to really say it's what definitively made him the strongest person. And Amaterasu is a great offensive ability, but at the end of the day, it's a fire jutsu. And without Sasuke's ability to bend and manipulate that fire, you're basically launching out a fireball that you can't control after the fact. Powerful, but not his greatest ability. So if it's not one of these two abilities, the two that he was probably most well known for, well, was it his Susano? Kind of. Susanos are largely considered the strongest defensive ability in all of Naruto, and for many Uchiha that manage to unlock it, it becomes one of their most defining features. I mean, when you look at just the fact that the Susano allowed Itachi to survive Kirin, it's a fantastic feat all on its own. But it goes somewhat beyond that, because while all Susanos are said to be the greatest of defensive abilities, they do have weaknesses. We have seen incomplete Susanos be burned by Mei's boil release. We've seen them be shattered by one of Tsunade's kicks. They're definitely powerful, but they're hardly the most definitive shield that a character could have, and we've actually seen people with other abilities that can definitely surpass this in terms of defensibility. So, while I do think the Susano was a big effort for this, it was actually one of the Susano's two abilities that placed him so high up in the ninja world, even though it's probably one of the few he didn't use very often. And, well, let's just get this out of the way, it's not the Sword of Tutsuka. The Sword of Tutsuka is a fantastic ability. It's what he uses to actually finish off Orochimaru in the series for, God, hundreds of chapters, until eventually the story needs him to come back and we let him out, because of course we do. But in total, while that is a fantastic ability, we only ever actually see it used once, and its application is still limited. Because Itachi never managed to unlock his full Susano, he never managed to make it mobile. So the Tutsuka blade can only be used within a certain radius of him using it. And yes, I know the person inside of a Susano can move around with it, but still they moved very slowly, and he moved extra slowly due to the chakra disease, and it's just a lot on him. So, with all that in mind, his greatest jutsu was actually the one that we see the least of in the whole series, and that was the Yada Mirror. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Yada Mirror was the other significant ability that his Susano had, though it only ever comes up in regards to it surviving Kirin, because it is said to have canceled out the effect that Kirin would have had on the Uchiha structure. And it's essentially what allowed it to avoid being blown up and smashed to pieces. It's only on the Susano in the form of a circular shield, and it doesn't even look that big, but essentially its hidden ability is that it can match any ninjutsu. Now, I think the big thing that a lot of people get confused on this ability is that many people say that the Yata Mirror only cancels nature releases. That is not what is stated. It is stated that the Yata Mirror will match any ninjutsu that's thrown at it. And that is a huge difference in terms of what this ability does. A lot of people think that certain abilities could overcome the Yata Mirror because, for example, it can match a fireball with a fire release and therefore cancel it out, rendering that useless. Essentially, that's what it did to Kirin. It matched its lightning release and canceled out the effect. So a lot of people think that if you went at it with something like maybe the Akamichi's Super Enhancement Jutsu or something like Shadow Possession, that it wouldn't work. Or, more importantly, one of the ones that I've heard recently is the idea of, could something like the Rasengan, a jutsu devoid of any kind of elemental release, actually go up against it? And the answer is, in my opinion, no, because it's not jutsu specific. This thing matches chakra with chakra. It does not matter what type of release it is because it will automatically reflect it back. It is not like the Ice Mirror Jutsu that we've seen in the series that matches elemental affinities. That's not what the Yata Mirror is said to do. It is instead designed to directly counter everything. And to be blatantly honest, that is one of the most broken abilities you could have in this series. There is no offensive ability outside of Genjutsu that could get past it. And you're an Uchiha. You are immune to Genjutsu. There's not a one outside of the Infinite Tsukuyomi that can actually affect you. So, as you might imagine, this probably tied into why Itachi had to catch a sudden case of needs to get out of the story chakra disease, because this was truly one of the most broken abilities. Although, ironically, had he not died, his role in the story would definitely have to switch to have been a good guy because there'd be no beating him as a bad guy. But let me know what you think his most powerful jutsu was in the comments below.